Welcome to Juggling Interviews. This episode is brought to you by eJuggle, the IJA's official online publication, where you can find the latest juggling news, articles, videos, and podcasts, just like this one. If you want to check that out, you can head over to their website at juggle.org/ejuggle, or with the link in the description. This episode is also sponsored by Play Juggling. On their website, you can find high-quality props like balls, clubs, rings, diablos, poise, fire equipments, flower sticks, glow props, and tons more. Head over to playjuggling.com and use my code XavJuggles, XavJuggles, to get 10% off your next purchase. It's a great way to support me, so thank you a lot, Play Juggling. Now let's get to the episode. Hi guys, welcome back to Juggling Interviews. Today I'm really happy to receive Liam Wilson. How you doing, Liam?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing very good. It's early in the morning for me, but it's always a good time to do a podcast with some fellow jugglers.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate you getting up early for me. It's like 2 in the afternoon here in Berlin.
Oh yeah, so you're comfortable. How was your day so far?
Good. I was just out at some playgrounds with my son in the morning and yeah, juggling a little bit at home. It was nice, thanks.
Do you juggle at home?
Yeah, I have quite high ceilings and I live on the ground floor, so it's quite a nice flat to juggle in.
Yeah, you don't have a neighbor occurrence where you drop and they get annoyed because it's you're upstairs or anything. So yeah, you're good.
Exactly. I always ended up pissing off my neighbors when I had downstairs neighbors. So the ground floor is perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you the introduction questions. I'm very curious to know this about you. How did you get first introduced to juggling, and then how did you end up learning how to juggle?
I mean, I'd seen juggling at various points in my childhood. I guess most memorably, like one Christmas, my dad got 3 juggling balls and a book. I think it was the book Juggling for the Complete Klutz. And like he managed to crack the cascade quite quickly. And I remember at that time, like I tried a little bit, but I just didn't have the patience, or I just fell into thinking like, yeah, I can't do this. And I tried again. I'd seen juggling like at a few different times. I mean, I was in Scotland and often went through to Edinburgh for the festival. I would have seen like street performers and um yeah, loads of different places that I would have seen juggling, but I always kind of had this attitude and like tried again to learn at 14 and just the same result, that I just didn't really have the patience, or I told myself like, yeah, there's some people that can do this and there's other people that can't, and I obviously belong to the latter category. And I was skating through like my teenage years. That was a big thing in my life, but I started to get more and more injuries, and the things that used to give me like a big adrenaline rush, they got boring, and I had to do like, you get more and more adventurous and take bigger risks, and it was taking like weeks and months to heal instead of bouncing back and being in the skate park the next day. And I really decided that I had to quit skating. And then I didn't have a hobby for a year. I guess I was around 18 when I quit skating.
Mm.
And it was a difficult year. I realized at some point that I really need a hobby. And actually, just as I'd had that realization, I just saw those 3 balls like still in my bedroom after all that time. And honestly, like I was also just really bored in that moment. And I moved home just for like a couple of months after my first year at uni, because there was a gap before going into my new flat. And yeah, after like all of the fun of a new life in Edinburgh, like being home in Stirling, it was really boring. And I was also there in this position that I knew I needed a hobby. And yeah, those balls, they just reappeared, like the same balls that my dad got for Christmas all those years ago. And I just knew, like when I saw them then, that I'll be able to crack it if I just go for it. And yeah, as soon as I did, like I got a cascade actually quite quickly on that time. And I could just feel it, that it's going to be an important thing for me. And I
Really?
immediately had like a real buzz about it, that I could just feel that it's quite a serious decision to learn it. Yeah.
But how did you know it was gonna be bigger than the cascade? Did you know there was other tricks? Did you see performers do it? How did you know there's a world after the 3 ball cascade?
I mean, I could immediately understand that I could do a reverse cascade. And at
Yeah.
that moment, I felt like a creative genius, like I found something completely new, because obviously I was so naive. But I mean, it was like, obviously it also wasn't real knowledge. It was just a feeling, and not even like of any real knowledge of how much there is to explore, but just, I don't know, just a sense that it was going to be very useful for me, and it was just going to play a role in my life, which, yeah, it's a bit strange to say that. I don't know how much I like apply that in retrospect now, but no, it was a really strong moment for me, and I knew that it's actually, like, for something that's so kind of like inconsequential as juggling, I could still somehow feel that it's quite a serious moment for me to learn and feel. I felt like just a really big buzz and potential energy about all of the doors that can open. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even about the juggling itself. Sometimes it's just like your life maybe is lacking a new creative approach, and you didn't have it fulfilled with any of your. You said you were skating, or if you have any other sports hobbies or whatever. Juggling is like the first sport slash art that really has both worlds, so you can like finally enjoy doing both at the same time. And sometimes, yeah, like I'm saying, I think. The juggling itself is just an excuse to find out something more about yourself, and sometimes like a whole new hobby, creatively, you're like you said, you discover like the reverse cascade. You end up learning that there's a world out there with your creativity. You can
Mm.
like do so much, and it's also really stimulating for the brain. You get so many activations, like your hand-eye coordination, the practicing the heights, practicing, and we definitely see that you have like all those parts really well practiced. Like we see in your videos, the way you do some no look catch, you do like everywhere around the body, you do such like beautiful shapes. I think, yeah, creativity in your juggling has to be like the main power. The way I look at your juggling, I don't think I can name any other creative juggler that do anything like you do. So yeah, maybe that's what you found in your three ball reverse cascade back then.
Mm. Thank you. Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, yeah, I really think also it also came from, like, in skating I had the same values. Like, I was really interested in like personal style and creativity. So that was definitely something that carried over immediately into juggling. Although, of course, there's just a lot of work to do before you can really find your own space and your own style. I guess the thing with juggling was that I also understood that I don't need to take such big physical risks to gain the vocabulary to, find an outlet for all this creative stuff. That in skating, yeah, it was coupled with technique, which was fine. I was willing to do the work. I enjoyed it. But also, the more ambitious you get in skating, yeah, you start to really risk your neck to just to do something that you were dreaming about. And it's like, yeah, is it at some point, yeah, is it worth it? Is there a future in it? And I felt that was something really beautiful and clean about juggling, that actually, it's not that there's no risk, but yeah, that I could just see a long future in it, that it can be very sustainable, and it's something that I can just, yeah, just pour myself into. And yeah, I feel like I've really done that now.
Mm.
And there's still a lot to discover, and I'm just excited to see what's next.
Yeah, I think it's Matan Presberg. I remember in one of the first podcasts I recorded, I asked him like, "Oh, why did you pick up juggling? Why did you like juggling?" And Matan said, yeah, just because it's easy. Like if you drop, just pick it up. It's just that easy. Like it's right there. You
Mm,
don't injure yourself. Like there's no risk. Like if you drop, that's the biggest risk. Like the biggest thing that happens. Okay, now in retrospective, you can get hurt with like long periods of time if you don't do your throws correctly, if you have bad technique or whatever. But technically, there's no risk. Like the worst thing that can happen is dropping. You try again until you get good, and I think that's a fun mentality. It's so minimal. Like a drop is so like it doesn't affect anything. But for a juggler, like you have to. I think it's 70% of our time is like picking up balls on the floor more than juggling. And I think the
mm,
joy of juggling is trying to get through that and still enjoy the process. because I think in skating or in other tricks kind of sports, like I don't know what's the ratio of like successful tricks and the ones you fail, but sometimes like you don't your your practice sessions might last like twice twice longer if you're juggling because you don't get hurt when you fail. But with skating, you can have like all the ambition in the world, but you end up like failing twice, and you have a bad fall on the third time, and now you have to stop for the day. You have to like postpone it. But like,
Yeah, and then you're just like sat at the skate park watching the other people skate, thinking like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Yeah, that's really, but for me that's also kind of a double-edged sword, and I realized that there was a certain type of focus that I had when I was skating because you're at risk, that actually sometimes you can bring the same level of focus to juggling if you switch it on. Like for example, with the acrylic ball, when I was learning this like throw from elbow to elbow, and like I missed a few times in the beginning, and it really cracks the bone on the end of the elbow, and that's like really, really painful. And the funny thing was that that was a trick that I got much more solid, like much more quickly than any of my other contact juggling tricks. And I understood it's because I suffered and I'm afraid of that pain, that I was bringing like a hyper focus to do it well. And it's just this question like, why don't I bring that level of focus to everything that I'm doing? Because actually, because it's easy to be lazy. And yeah, seeing the drop is inconsequential, and that's really like a beautiful thing in juggling. It is, but it can also be a problem at some point.
hmm,
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing, that this is like it opens a lot of space, and yet it also can make us like, because I think naturally we like to be like kind of soft and lazy, or me anyway, and I feel like sometimes I need to switch. The other thing that you made me think though about the length of the sessions and the accessibility, that was, yeah, that was a big deal for me with juggling, because like skating, and I was also into like canoeing, like whitewater kayaking, and just the fact of like how much work it takes to put yourself in a situation to do that. And okay, skating, you can also skate street, which I loved. Most of the time, like there were hardly any skate parks in Scotland, and it would be like a real mission to get to the place that you need to be just to have a session. And then if you injure yourself, or even if not, you have like one day in Dundee, for example, we used to get the train through. There was a great skate park. And yeah, with balls, like I mean, with all juggling, but especially balls, it's like just so easy. You could just put them in your bag. If someone's late to meet you, you could just fill the time with like 5, 10 minutes of juggling. It just fit into my life so nicely. And that was yeah, I don't know, it's weird because it's not a relationship of convenience, it's a really deep relationship, but still it's very good that it's convenient too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. You were mentioning how we take it slow and you take it we take like we're not scared of dropping. We're so used to always do whatever and have like no pressure, and I think that's why I struggle with practicing for performance, because I'm so used to dropping. I don't care anytime I drop in practice sessions, but as soon as I want to practice for a performance coming up, I have to like really put myself in the space of like, okay, if I drop, like it's a bit more important than if I was in a practice session. Like let's try to drop as less as possible. So I try to really imagine like the audience around. I'm trying to like you know the kind of I don't know if you notice when you're performing, you have like very small twitch muscles. Like they, you do like sometimes you try to save a trick differently than if you're a practice session. Like your life depends on if you catch the ball or not, and like
Mm.
it feels like it's a different part of your body. Like it's more than just reflex. It's like really like it's I don't know, second nature, and you don't have that when you practice in like whatever. Let me just try to trick again. Like right now, it's too much effort to try like a very out there catch or anything. But if you're like on stage or you need to not drop, oof, you have to like activate everything. Like it's almost an instinct of survival to like make this pattern still work. And I don't have that when I practice, so it's really a good challenge to like try to turn this on in my head as I'm practicing. Cause yeah, I'm getting too chill. Like I'm lazy.
Yeah, absolutely. This is yeah, this is a very interesting subject. It's what you said about it feeling like life or death. I actually I understood from like evolutionary psychology that there's a real like that's a real feeling, and there's a reason for this that I had explained to me, which is also because like humans evolved in like breeding groups of about 200 people, and if you would humiliate yourself in front of your whole group, it would really like affect your chances of reproduction. So in fact,
Mm.
like for human beings, if your social currency is like trashed by a bad performance or experience in front of 200 or more people, it could really be like life and death on a genetic level, or we're hardwired to take it as seriously as that kind of thing, which is like quite a lot to carry when you're just yeah doing something that you find relaxing and just want to juggle for fun. And it could hardly be more different when you first bring it on stage. I remember how much I struggled and how yeah, how strange it is to realize like what a different emotional state you're in on stage. But I was also very interested, obviously coming from like more extreme sports, to understand like yeah how much adrenaline you can get just from stepping on stage with juggling, and how much of a difference that makes. So yeah, it was difficult and it was challenging, but it was also very interesting to me. And like I'm not a natural performer. Actually, I'm more introverted, and I like just to live in my own world with juggling. But I also understood that there's sides to it that I can gain a lot from, and it was interesting on that just on that level of yeah, unlocking this kind of adrenaline rush side of juggling, and just to try and find a way to share the things. And yeah, that's really like somehow for me to do with like making peace with all of this stuff that comes up inside. And for me, it's not even a goal anymore, like not to drop on stage, but just to accept it if I do, and just to be kind of okay with all the things that happen there. Because I feel like dropping itself isn't so much of a problem as being afraid of dropping or embarrassed after you've dropped. And if you can really show that, if you can really feel it, that you're not, it's not actually about showing it, but people will see it and feel it if you, for me anyway, that's been very much my experience in my journey on stage. That yeah, like it's kind of paradox, but the more I try and avoid dropping, the more importance I give it, and the worse it is. And I feel like I'm just not the person that's going to go out on stage and try and be perfect. I just am where I am on the day, and yeah, see how it goes.
And also thinking about your performing style, like I've seen extracts of you performing. You do a lot of balance. You do a lot of very slow stuff. You bring a lot of importance to the aesthetic of the moment. Like it feels like really like you don't even I'm sure when you see it on video, it's not the same impact as in real life. It seems like very meditative when you juggle for your performance, and it must be weird to like have this feeling of like nervousness inside, but you gotta show peace and your balance and whatever. You try to seem as much at ease as possible when your brain is screaming like please don't drop, listen on. So I think it's a good thing to like not saying please don't drop, because then if you say to not drop, you think about dropping and you get
Mm.
you have this weird cycle of nervousness that just enters for no reason. I'm very curious. You have one of the most distinct style I've ever seen. Like, it's really cool to see jugglers that have such a style that can be associated to them. Like, if anyone do some of your classic signature tricks, like everyone directly thinks about you. Like I think that's a really good flex to have as a juggler, to have your own style like as developed and as known. Um, so I'm very curious. How did that style that we all know from you started? How did you go from the reverse cascade that you discovered back then to your style nowadays?
Wow, that's a long path. It's a good question. Going like right back, like in my first years of juggling, after I started to understand like yeah how much already exists and how much I have to just do the work of learning, like, yeah, first 6 months or so, just like obsessed with like learning all named 3-ball tricks and like trying to get my 4 and 5, although that took me more like a year to get 5, I remember. And also like I was playing with a lot of different props in the beginning and exploring like to see what really fits me. But I started with balls, and I think after like 3, maybe about 4 years of playing with different props and having like a huge collection of different props, and I tried everything up to a certain level, and I liked all the props, but I just realized that it makes sense to commit to one prop. At least for me, it did, and I felt that that is the ball. That was actually quite an obvious decision, and I felt good to make that decision. But inside of like ball juggling, I saw the whole universe anyway. That was a thing, and I felt like, okay, if I commit to balls, it's not like really closing doors. In fact, it just shows that, like for me, it just showed the breadth of, yeah, different styles and different techniques that you can explore inside of ball juggling. And yeah, then I really went for it with like foot juggling, although I was also working hard on my numbers. I say foot juggling, but I never like really wanted to get like the foot cascade or anything like that, but just to get solid foot catches and kick ups, and was influenced a lot by hacky sack back in the day, because that was like quite big in Edinburgh when I was coming up. Um, the other thing that was very present in the scene at that time was contact juggling, and I'd seen people doing like unbelievable things with crystal balls. And what my mind did was the same thing that happened when I first saw juggling. I thought like, well, that's brilliant, and I'll never be able to do it. And I really believed that too, that it was actually like just a whole nother level of hard, and that I won't find my way. But what saved me from that block was just realizing that it's quite fun and meditative. And I started like, yeah, I guess it was like my 3rd or 4th year of juggling. I really just like started to learn some stalls and stuff like this. And yeah, I just realized I like it a lot. And I had no ambition to become good, but I was really enjoying that practice. And contact brought me, I guess contact was like the first type of juggling that really brought me down. I mean, I always found juggling meditative, but I mean down like in a very positive sense, that I was like, actually I was quite hyper in a lot of ways, and contact just gave me a feeling of like real serenity and peace that I valued really deeply. And I realized, yeah, I don't need to be good at it. I just need to follow the feeling and enjoy that. And that was something that really, yeah, started to shift my whole perspective on juggling, as well as like the fact of really just working with one ball, which brought everything more to a like bodily level and connected things more with dance. And I met a lot of people that were mixing like dance into their juggling, and thought, yeah, like, wow, that's pretty cool, and started to like collect bits and pieces. Um, and yeah, I suppose it was like after maybe 5, 6 years of like all these different things that I realized, yeah, that it's worth it to try and perform and try and make money. And then long story short, I just really worked hard on my street show, and I got it together. This was like 2009, 2010. I made this like real commitment just to make money from juggling. I mean, not not that that was the only reason to juggle, but that I won't make money from anything else. That's what I mean when I say just for the money. Like, not, I mean, nothing else I'd done for money really gave me joy. And I felt like, even though I was afraid of, yeah, putting pressure on this thing, which had also been like my shelter and my meditative space, I felt like, yeah, life is short, and I want to give it a real chance. And if it doesn't work out for me, I could just, go back and try something else and keep juggling just for me. And yeah, that was a great decision. Yeah, that worked out really well for me. And yeah, I think for the next 7 or 8 years, I was just playing street shows. I mean, I got other gigs occasionally, but the people were really good to me in the street, and that was also where I found just this power of minimalism and doing like little things that can, like, it's crazy, but when the atmosphere around is really loud and competitive and noisy, like a tiny thing done with great focus can pull a lot of attention. And just realize that you can actually, you can stop a busy street in like 30 seconds if you're just just zoned in and just doing like something really clean and clear and minimal. And yeah, I really loved the feeling. I mean, to this day, I don't get that many opportunities to go and play just street these days, but I still love to play outdoors, and I still love this element of surprise. Because yeah, I guess people don't really like, most of the general population, they don't think like, yay, I want to go and see circus or I want to go and see juggling,
Mm, yeah.
which is kind of a problem, but it's also a privilege, because if you're just out in the street doing it, then they're like, whoa, this is cool. And you get to be in that place that you introduce it to them. And I think that feeling of, yeah, just the joy of like surprising people with like little visual things that I can really put my heart into. I guess that set the foundation. And then like to come back to like what it is that you're speaking about, I guess with my style now, it's like all of this clockwork stuff that all came in a really short period of time, actually. Or like most of the things that I'm now using as like the core of like my thing when I'm performing, I think that was like the summer of 2013. Um, I think that was the year. I remember like Kyle Johnson was over here in Berlin. We should ask Kyle when he last came to Berlin, because that was the year. I reckon it was 2013. And I just randomly, like, this just occurred to me to do this, and I was like so happy. And I was going around showing everyone. I saw Kyle. I was like, Kyle, look at this, look at this. And then like I just committed to it and just said like, I'm just going to explore this. And yeah, I guess that's been a long time that I was just using that as the foundation for a lot of research, and just commit to it. And yeah, and it's still going, and there's still a lot to explore and discover. But yeah, I suppose this is the main thing, that I had like at first I had a lot of breadth, and then I started to focus in, and then through street I found, yeah, just this power of like minimal and visual stuff, that even if it's quite reduced, it's still possible for me to feel like the whole universe inside and really put my heart into. And I feel like yeah, that's still the thing that I'm following to this day.
Yeah. And I think there's this whole power of the aesthetic. Like it doesn't have to be a crazy high trick or something with a crazy amount of props. You can be like very down to the very essence of like a perfect throw, and like doing this and having like your body interact with it. There's yeah, no, something you said. I think it's funny. I think circus always happens to someone. You never like go for circus. I mean, I don't know. It's, maybe if you go see like a circus show in your town or whatever, but like other than shows, circus just happens to you. You just encounter circus in your life, and you either join the
Hmm.
train or you don't. And yeah, it could be in different forms. Like personally, circus encountered circus online. I just saw like a random. Actually, the first video I saw, I think, was like the top 40 of 2019, and I was shocked. It just occurred to me like, whoa, okay, that's a thing. Let me compute this what I just saw right now, and let's see what my brain thinks about that. But yeah, I think it's funny.
Hmm.
I have the theory where, yeah, you don't go for circus. Circus goes for you. You just encounter circus. Any form of circus too, like acrobatics and everything. Like it's sometimes it's really random. You see someone doing a handstand, you're like, whoa, all right, okay, that's cool. And then you see, anyways, the street shows are always a good place to discover new art. And circus is like so vast, and there's so many mixed props and mixed. There's people doing acrobatics with juggling, and it's like a whole new discipline. It's pretty impressive. Um, yeah, I'd like to ask you the question from the previous guest, which was Joe
Please.
Fisher on the podcast. And let me pull up the question. Joe wanted to know, how has your relationship with the juggling community changed throughout the years and your career?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks, Joe. Um, so actually, this is one of the biggest transformations for me that juggling has caused. Like that, yeah. If I'm honest, when I started, I only wanted to juggle in my bedroom. I really didn't care. Even like going to the park was, it was just. I mean, it was okay, but the question was always in my head, like, why? What's the point? And I think like the first conventions I went to, I also found them very mixed experiences. Like they were, I mean, it was amazing, and I was like really touched. See like how much is going on and how damn good people are. But I was also really overwhelmed and felt like I need to actually remove myself from the. It was like the Scottish juggling convention that I went to back in the day. I needed to leave for a moment and just actually felt like really, yeah, really mixed, like a lot of different stuff happening inside of me, and I feel like it was one of the first experiences that really forced me like beyond that point of just thinking like, okay, I'm not comfortable, so I'll just go. Because on top of the fact that it was like, yeah, much too much for my little brain at the time, there was also this feeling like, but this is it, this is where it's at, and this is where I can get what I need to grow as well. And that maybe also feeling already that the discomfort and the struggle was a big part of the value and what's going to help me to grow if I just go towards it. And I managed that pretty well over the next like 4 or 5 years. I guess I was like really trying to get to festivals and conventions, and also I was traveling. And I guess also because for me, like there wasn't like YouTube was new and there weren't that many videos and there weren't many resources. So for me, when I saw a juggler in the park back in the day, I would just go to them because that was one of my only chances to get input. And if I saw people doing things that I liked, I just go and speak to them immediately and just be like a total fanboy and be like, oh, how'd you learn this? How'd you learn that? Which like I never would have done. And I would have been traveling and just kind of like in my own world and yeah, maybe taking pictures. But I felt like that was a big gift from juggling to get me outside of myself and like kind of force me to connect with people. And yeah, obviously like the next level was to play street, which I would say was terrifying, but it would be untrue because it is terrifying for me to this day. It's not was. I can't put it in the past tense. It's like even after, and I mean now I've had a bit of a gap, so it makes sense that there's some resistance in me to just do it again. But I could really honestly say that even when I was in my like peak form playing street and I'd had like 4 or 5 years of like really successful street shows behind me, and I'd gone to a special city to play where there's nothing else to do and the street's great, and I've woken up in the morning and I'm there and I've got my amplifier and my crystal ball and everything ready, and there's still this voice inside of me that's like, just stop, don't do that. Why would you bring attention to yourself on the street? This is madness. And I never found any real strategy to stop that voice. I just can suspend it for a moment, and I just always convince myself, like I made myself this promise every time, like, Liam, like if you're not enjoying it after 5 minutes, you could just stop. But first, like let's just press play on the amplifier. Let's just take 2 steps and let's just start to juggle and see what happens. And after like 30 seconds, I would always start to feel like this just like happening inside of me, that it's like, oh, it's really nice, it's really good and it's working. And just felt the freedom of like letting go of all of that resistance inside of me. And even if it doesn't go well, which can be pretty tough on the street, it's a reality which I could deal with. And once that's like an actual concrete experience that I'm going through, yeah, I have tools, to face it and process it. It's even that is a lot more freeing than just sitting there being afraid of doing something. And yeah, I feel like that really opened me up as a human being and also brought me to a place that I had enough stability and trust in myself that even if I'm introverted and I have resistance to go out and teach or pay a compliment to someone when I like their work, or even receive a compliment can be difficult for me. But yeah, I learned to say thank you. Yeah, and know that that's really an important thing to say, and also to people that touch me with their work, just to go and say thank you, and yeah, not keep it inside, but to kind of pay it forward and keep this cycle going. And now, like especially in the last years, I've gotten more and more into teaching, and yeah, it's amazing for me to see that people are receptive to what I'm doing, and that there's this like just this appreciation for something that actually I never really made with the intention of like giving it on. Sure, I didn't think like that it's a bad idea, but I just made it because I like making it. And I feel, yeah, very, very fortunate that there are chances to teach and share the things, and there's just so much like for me to gain as well from these exchanges. I feel like it's also one of the things that helps me understand more and more what it is that makes what I do special. I don't know if special is the right word, but yeah, the thing that makes it what it is. Um, Damn, this is such a huge question. It's difficult. I have a feeling I could speak on and on and on. But maybe that's enough for now. Like about the whole community, it's also like a little bit for me. It's also like I just have to say like that it's a bit of an illusion sometimes. Like the juggling community, at least like in Berlin, that's kind of my experience. That when there's spaces that people gather, it can feel really nice and together, and then like spaces come and go, and then the scene is fractured, and I don't know, it's weird. It just comes and goes, and it's actually quite an abstract thing, like to think about this whole big scene. And also in juggling, I think that there's loads of people that never made it past the stage of being like in their own little world and doing their thing, and maybe do some of the most beautiful juggling that ever existed. And that's also really, really cool and beautiful in a way. So yeah, it's not to like hold up where I am and the amount of connection that I found through juggling as being like a level beyond or superior than just juggling in your bedroom. And actually, for me, if I lost the joy in doing that, then no other thing that I found through juggling, even if it's my main source of income and way of connecting to other people and on and on and on, like none of those things would compensate me
Mm.
enough to keep going if I lost my own joy to just like, yeah, just close the door and play some music and just juggle at home and just enjoy it. Mm.
Yeah, because it's interesting when you have your own relationship with your own juggling, but also it depends in which context. Like you're saying, it's always stressful to perform in the streets. It's even I don't know. I heard there's a pressure when jugglers perform for jugglers because they know all the intricacies and they know what's easy, what's whatever, and all that. And and even in other contexts, like if you juggle for shows that no one in the crowd is a juggler, but it's not street show either. So they went to see a show. So it's a lot of when you think about it, the juggling could be the same. You could do the same show for all three occasions, or even the fourth one would be just alone in your bedroom or just for yourself. And the same juggling in all those four contexts are just like you interact differently and you think differently about your own performance. You think differently about your own craft. Um, and yeah, I think the essence is like you with yourself. If you're still enjoying your own craft, and if you're still resonating with what you're discovering or what you're what you're coming up with, what you're practicing. If you're still inclined with your own juggling, maybe you have the chance to offer it to someone else. But as soon as you stop being in line with your own juggling, you start seeing it in the way you interact with people. Like you don't even,
Mm.
because I felt a big detachment from my juggling, like throughout the year this year, and it I I still juggled quite a lot throughout the week. I put a lot of hours, but I wasn't doing the extra effort to like continue pushing on the my style, trying to find new stuff, so trying to juggle to music, do a show, do that, this and that. um so I felt the detachment from my own juggling, where I'm just like practicing tricks to just not lose them, or just to get like somewhat a new record of like this trick I've been trying, this and that. But I wasn't like in my juggling, really. It's not me and my juggling, it's more just me for the juggling, just to not lose the act of
Mm.
juggling. And I felt it when someone was complimenting my juggling. I'd be like, it would be blank, like, I'm not even trying, like, this is that's what went on in my head. Like when someone complimented a trick I did, I was like, yeah, but I'm just like trying to not lose, not this and that, and like, I don't know, I'm just doing this for fun. It's almost like you're trying to find excuses for why you're not like, but it's a compliment. You're getting a compliment and you're finding an excuse.
Mm.
So it's really interesting that you mentioned that even the way you interact with the community is how it reflects the way you interact with your own craft. Yeah, same thing here. It's a big subject. I could talk about it for for hours and hours, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for that great question.
Oh
Now the
yeah.
pressure's on for me to find as good of a question.
Yeah, I'm super curious. You've been really active this year on social media, and I think you really found your audience, and you're nonstop growing. It's really fun to see, especially this year. I feel like 2026 is huge for jugglers on social medias. I feel like a lot of jugglers are getting through the international scenes. It's a new wave of
Mm.
just like, it's just fun juggling. It's just like there's simple stuff in front of the camera, good technique, perfect execution, and music, and people love it. What's your secret with social media? How is your audience reacting so well with what you do?
Um, yeah, that's not something that I know the answer to. And I'm not just saying that because it won't be my secret anymore if I tell you. My attitude is still pretty experimental. And I realize that with a certain amount of growth also comes pressure. And I'm really trying not to feel it too much and just stay light and just do what I like doing. Although, of course, there's a certain amount of thinking about, yeah, why is this more successful than that? And should I try and do this to see if it will blow up? And I don't think that's bad, but I don't want to let it steer me too much. And I guess the same like with my contact juggling, that I didn't think it'll work and I didn't think that I'll get really good at it. So what really matters is for me just to enjoy it. And I did find a lot of joy in making videos in the last couple of years. And I started to understand more what it gives to me, which is complicated to explain. But certainly just the fact of being able to share. And like for me, it's really a feeling like if I like something, that's more than enough. And I don't care if it does well or not, which gives me a certain stability. And also, if one person is really touched by what I'm doing and it changes their path a little bit, that's also more than enough. Um, and just learning about the whole process is also very rewarding for me. And I feel like there's some people whose like video work I really look up to, for different reasons. And just to be in the same world as them and see and be influenced and share, like also like not just jugglers but dancers, and try and understand like what it is that like, yeah, just how to capture some of those things. Because I think that a lot of what I like about juggling, especially sharing juggling, comes from like my history on like the street and like really face-to-face interaction, and even like quite intimate. I never was really trying to chase huge shows. I just made a lot of small shows, and I think that a lot is lost in video, and I'm trying to understand, yeah, more how to maybe not capture everything, because I think some things will never come through in a video, but find other things that are special about video. And that's just a very interesting task for me, that I'm just motivated to keep following that, and I'm enjoying the process in a way that gives me, yeah, like certain joy and stability in doing it, that really makes me kind of just feel quite safe, even though it's not the safest environment to be sharing your work in. Yeah, there is like this. I mean, you're putting your stuff out and it's judged pretty harshly, which is the same as street at the end of the day. That like there's
Yeah.
always this possibility that like no one's gonna look, and yeah, you're left alone with that feeling when something doesn't connect. But I mean, exactly the same as street. I realized that like what am I losing in that situation? And the obvious answer is just like trip. You just have certain expectation that you should be good, and if that's not, reflected in the reality of your work, then you feel suffering because you already thought that you should be good. But why should I even think that? That's like a really absurd and vain place to create from, and very unstable. Um, sorry, that sounds extremely judgmental, but that's just the reality of like how you could position it in your mind sometimes. That I speak like for myself and from my own experience, and just knowing that, yeah, that can feel bad, yeah, and that I don't want to do something that's making me feel bad. So really just coming back to the basic level, like do I like it? Yeah, I like it. Okay, I just share it.
It's that
And if
simple.
it gets a million views, cool. I'll probably feel some joy about that. And if it doesn't, yeah, I'll notice that it's like not the coolest feeling, that it's not taking off. But neither really touches like the core of why I'm doing it. And I guess, yeah, that's the most important thing for me. But I have to return to the thing about the secret, that this is also for me, this is far from actually knowing the secret or having cracked the code of like how to make the stuff successful. Because if I knew that, then I wouldn't need to bother with any of this, like, you know, um, actual looking at myself and trying to see deeper things in it. I could just, just get a million views every time and make a million as an influencer. That would be lovely.
Maybe the secret is that there's no secret, to be honest.
Maybe.
um, uh, I think I'm noticing some patterns with what you're saying. Every time you think that you cannot do something, you end up doing really well at it. So yeah, maybe just take a minute and look at stuff in your life and see what seems doable and what doesn't. And maybe you see your next passion. Yeah. But I think it's really fun. What I'm getting the with what I'm hearing from you is that you have a very seems like you have a very stable relationship with your juggling. It seems like you're juggling yourself is one thing, and if you have less energy, your juggling just follows it. You're not trying to put up an expectation for the people. You're just always trying to vibrate in the at the same wavelength as your juggling. And yeah, it's beautiful to see. I think it's a mature thing as a juggler to not trying to be someone else, not trying to shapeshift your craft for a certain audience, for a certain media, if you do it on the street or if you do it online. So yeah, it's beautiful to see. As we're slowly closing up the episode, I hope you had some time to think about your question, and that would be the time to ask it to the next guest without knowing who it's gonna be.
I want to ask a question about Anthony Gatto. As strange as it sounds, like maybe one of the people that thought that like the story of the fact that Gatto retired to do concrete. I find it like a really inspiring story because it's someone just following like what they want to do despite the pressure to do something else.
Oh, that's
Even though the
fun.
juggling community maybe sees it as a loss, and I just like for that reason, I'm curious to know like what people think about Gatto. But I think most people think that it's a shame that he quit juggling. But yeah, maybe my question was just like what do you feel about Anthony Gatto stopping juggling? But it depends so much who hears that, what they take from it. Maybe I can think of another question. I just
You know
need
what?
to.
I think it's fun to keep that. I think that question would be nice.
Okay, then let's just keep that from Liam Wilson to the next juggler in the program. How do you feel about Anthony Gatto choosing to retire from juggling?
So I think that question is really interesting, and it fits the format of not knowing who's next, and you'll have different opinion. You don't know who's next, so you have no bias of who's gonna answer what. So I think it's fun. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. I'm very curious. If people are watching and they're interested in your story, and if they like what you're doing, they like your juggling. You mentioned some teaching. Do you have any dates for me? Any places and dates so people can join the workshops?
I do have a workshop coming up in July in Berlin, the 3rd to the 5th of July. I'm teaching in Katakommen. So if you're around in Germany, Berlin, Europe, I mean, not that you shouldn't get on a plane to come here. It's just maybe it's a bit of a mission for 3 days. If I would do 2 weeks, you could probably justify flying. But yeah, July 3rd to 5th, my open juggling workshop.
And let's say for me, what if you had to sell it? Why would I want to go to your workshop?
I think the class is really good for all levels. I think I'm really working on trying to give tools that are useful for everyone's development, and I'm trying to help people to see juggling in a more open and broad way and try and apply like the ways of different ways of thinking about juggling and different ways of finding your own path in juggling, which I think is really a lot more useful than just getting a bag of tricks. Although I will also teach a lot of cool tricks if you like that kind of thing too, but more as examples and more as a way to understand the process of how to find those things. And yeah, I'm really working hard to make it as like accessible as it can be, but also challenging at the same time. And we're going to play a lot of good games and do like partner juggling and really fun stuff. Like I'm looking forward a lot to the class. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love this episode as an insight. I think it's we touched on very. I feel like we touched on little subjects, like a little amount of subjects, but each subjects had
Hmm.
like very long trails of things because it's really fun. So, some episodes go like subjects after subjects, and we do like 15 in one episode. But I think we touched on the main theme. I think is just the relationship we have with juggling just in general. I think
Hmm.
it's very nice. I like the conclusion of the episode. I think I think there's a lot of food for thought for jugglers, and if it's a conversation y'all want to have, I think it's good for jugglers to talk together about these kind of subjects. I think it says a lot about ourselves and the way we interact with our craft. um yeah, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed this conversation.
But yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Everyone watching, thank you for watching till the end. Um, I hope you're gonna be here for the next episode. Um, Thank you a lot for watching, and have fun juggling. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.